Hi there, it's your brand new YouTube train to Ukraine. My name's Ira and I'm here to show you one of my favorite Ukrainian cities. Welcome to Kamianets-Podilskyi. Kamianets-Podilskyi is a city in the west of Ukraine. Located on the Smotrych river, it amazes its guests with unique landscapes and architecture. A historic center of Podila region and a strategically important border fortress, Kamianets-Podilskyi preserves features brought by different ethnicities inhabiting it. Here's, for example, Polish City Hall, Armenian well, and a Catholic cathedral with a minaret. Yes, there's a lot to explain, so let's take a closer look. To enter the old town, one must cross the bridge over the river Smotrych. The bridge is relatively modern. It was opened in the 19th century. You can already see the canyon from there, but we'll go back to it later. Let's stroll through the old streets and their attractions first. That is the first square you see after you cross the bridge and enter the old part of the city. A must-see building here is this Greek Catholic church, probably the oldest church in the city. And there hides the street with an apartment I've booked. As your guide, I suggest us to see churches and cathedrals first. After all, the old town has more than a dozen of them. But don't you worry, I'll show you only my favorite few. Now to the minaret mystery. The Saints Peter and Paul Cathedral was built in the 16th century, replacing a wooden church. Later, the cathedral was rebuilt in a Baroque style. But the most peculiar transformation happened in the late 17th century. In 1672, Kamianets-Podilskyi was conquered by the Ottoman Empire. Muslims found no mosque to pray in, so they decided to create one by modifying the cathedral and building a minaret. After the city was given back to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Catholics just placed a statue of Mary on the top of the minaret. So here she is, blessing the city. Enough information for now, let us dive into the very atmosphere of the place. Another cathedral I want to show you is St. Nicholas Cathedral with a former Dominican monastery. It is by far my favorite one. Yeah, the bell tower doesn't look all that spectacular. It was destroyed in a fire more than 30 years ago and hasn't been touched by restoration architects yet. But one must admit it preserves its Baroque charm. The building is a mixture of different architectural styles as it was rebuilt several times in the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries. Just as our previous guest, during the Ottoman times, the cathedral was turned into a mosque, but in the middle of the 18th century, it was restored thanks to a Polish nobleman, Michał Potocki. By the way, you can see his family name here. According to the legend, Saint Nicholas himself came to the man in a dream, telling to donate as much money to the cathedral restoration as many years of prosperity he wishes his family. As you can guess, he donated a lot. It was highly appreciated by the monks, so now you can also see his coat of arms everywhere if you are attentive enough. The decorative elements you see date back to the 18th century. The first time I visited the cathedral, its side naves were closed from tourists, but nowadays you can come and see restored frescoes, pilasters, and molding. Some elements even date back to the 17th century, and they are originals. Although reconstruction is still ongoing, the church is functioning and you can attend Sunday Mass here. Last but not the least in our list is an Armenian church, or well, what is left from it after communists came and destroyed it in the 1930s. The church used to look like this, but nowadays there are ruins, a wall, and a bell tower. Still, I recommend to see it. Kamianets-Podilskyi is a city of not only cathedrals but also cats, and apparently dogs. Meanwhile, you can click the like button and write a comment. I'll be glad to read them all and answer any questions you have. In the video description you can find a link to my Ko-fi page if you want to support this project. I also leave a link to Come Back Alive Foundation, one of the top charity foundations that helps the Ukraine army, and a link to a volunteer organization of paramedics, hospital years. Your donation will literally save lives. Visiting a new city, you can easily get tired from hustle and bustle of tourist attractions. Luckily, Kamianets-Podilskyi has a good place to escape it all, the canyon. Remember the map of the city? The old town is surrounded by the canyon. In the Middle Ages, it helped protecting the city, as people used landscape to build a system of highly effective fortresses. We'll talk about it later. Let's go down to the Smotrych River. One of the most picturesque descents to it is located near the bridge I've shown you at the beginning of the video. At the top of the stairs, you can find a pretty pond. It is a good spot to rest by itself, especially if you like observing birds. Okay, enough of birds, let's go down because there is much more to see. I'm in love with this place and something tells me you'll be too. I wouldn't be me without getting into the wilderness. You'll see more in the next video I'm planning to edit. It will be a vlog about a nearby town Khotin, famous for Cossack period. And this charming path leads to another hidden gem, a little waterfall. Although man-made, it is still wonderful. The place is peaceful and helps you recharge. An interesting fact, the rocks you see are of organic origin, formed by ancient corals and other marine animals. The visible part of it is a good ground to study life forms, even starting from those who lived 430 million years ago, like sea scorpions. So while being here, I am going to search for some fossils, and if I'm lucky, I can even find a megalodon tooth. Well, no megalodon teeth for me, but
I'm having time of my life because I found one. And one more, or two more. I'm not sure, maybe it's just a part of the same creature.
later I realized that you can see tons of fossils in the canyon if you know what to look for and where. And no, I'm not a scientist, I've just visited a paleontology museum in the center of the city. There you can see and touch different fossils, learn about the formation of the canyon rocks, and find out what part of Ukraine was once inhabited by dinosaurs. It is also possible to travel to the canyon with a guide to find your own fossils and even use them to craft a jewelry piece. I'll leave the contact info in the video description.
What I especially love about the city is the combination of such magnificent ruins and gorgeous nature. Here's a small story. I came to this city the first time when I was 18, or exactly when I was turning 18. I came here specifically to celebrate my birthday, and that's exactly the case now, as I'm turning 26 tomorrow. So when I first came here and saw that object, I had an irresistible urge to climb, and my need was satisfied pretty quickly. Forgive me not climbing there today. Not because I can't, not because I lack the desire, just because there is a sign there that says that you cannot even enter the building. Because it's pretty dangerous, you see its state, right?
We cannot go inside, but we can dive into the history of the local fortification system. This building is called the Polish Gates, and centuries ago it served as one of the entrances to the city. It was a huge complex of towers, a bridge, stairs and walls built in the 15th century, replacing, guess what, wooden gates, of course. The Polish gates underwent reconstruction in the 18th century. In the 19th century, a part of the gates was destroyed in the course of the new road laying. A roof of one of the towers was crushed after the fire, and nature did the rest to turn the fortification into ruins. The place is far from being popular among tourists, partially due to its location, partially due to its state. but I believe that it is a must-see site.
And now we are at the top of the Turkish bastion.
The bastion is a part of a fortification complex called the Upper Polish Gate. This place was very convenient to guard the road leading to the city from the Lower Polish Gate, the ruins we've just seen, so building a stronghold here was a must.
The Ottoman army that conquered the city in 1672 improved the fortification using the stones from the destroyed Dominican monastery.
During the Turkish reconstruction, the bastion was built on the line of the defensive wall. It was intended for shelling the opposite bank of the canyon.
And by the way, the view from here is pretty nice, don't you think? You can even see the Kamianets castle right there.
Що ти? Стережеш бастіон, кіт? Молодець.
Right behind me you can see the King's Tower that was built in the 16th century to replace the older medieval tower.
There used to be a wall connecting the bastion to the tower, but a part of it was demolished in the 20th century for the sake of creating a better, wider road.
Those paving stones are part of a functional road the locals still use. And it can be pretty hard to go up, especially in winter. There are also secret pathways. Okay, it's not really secret. The locals who live down there in the canyon use it to go up. But most tourists just never get there.
As I previously mentioned, the road leads to the Lower Polish Gate. Let's take one last glimpse at the local nature. And now it's time to go up, back to civilization.
Thanks to the canyon, it's also apparently the city of stairs.
The center of Kamianets-Podilskyi has an abundance of beautiful and interesting places. Sadly, one video is not enough to encompass them all, but if you're going to stay here for a day or two, the number of locations I'm showing is just right. By the way, I left tips for visiting Kamianets on my Ko-fi page and marked the places from the video. The post is visible for everyone, so don't forget to check it out. One place you cannot miss is the Polish Market Square. Here you can find a city hall built by Polish inhabitants of the city. In the medieval period, Kamianets had separate town halls for the main ethnic groups living here: Ukrainians, Poles, and Armenians. By the way, that's an Armenian well. Armenian settlers came to Kamianets running from Turkish and Mongol conquests in the High Middle Ages. Right behind the city hall, there's a market for tourists where you can buy souvenirs in all shapes and forms. Within a 5-minute walk, there is a peculiar house with a gargoyle on it. It is called the Ruthenian City Hall, Будинок Руського магістрату. Please keep in mind that it has nothing to do with Russia. The word is derived from Latin exonym Ruthenia, used for a medieval state called Rus, with Kiev as its capital. Correspondingly, ancestors of modern Ukrainians were called Ruthenians. Russian Empire, former Moscow Kingdom, did a rebranding by appropriating the name and the history of Rus. Russia still speculates on the name when trying to prove non-existent historical unity of Russia and Ukraine to justify the invasion and war crimes. Traveling to Ukraine nowadays, one must follow safety rules even if you stay away from the front. Check the nearby shelters and don't ignore air raid alarms. The center of the city is perfect for evening strolls. Alternatively, you can just buy an ice cream and sit on the bench enjoying the view. Rise and shine, a new day in Kamianets begins, and we are approaching our final destination, the Kamianets Castle. Ta-da! That's it, that's the castle. But Ira, why there are two of them? That's because we're in the Museum of Miniature Castles. Here you can find 21 copies of castles from all over Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine is rich with palaces and castles. The copies are super accurate, and you can not only feel like a King Kong walking near them, but also learn about their history and kind of visit more of Ukraine. There's also a newly opened part with railway stations, and just look at this little fella. Isn't it adorable? The entrance fee is 120 hryvnias, which is less than $3. Definitely check it out. Let's finally go to the castle. To get inside, you must cross one more bridge over the Smotrych river. If you have some spare time and want unusual photos with the fortress, you can explore stairs leading into the canyon. Pigeons come as a bonus. Another bonus is meeting locals.
Відео роблю про Кам'янець.
This lady has been climbing the stairs every morning for 53 years. She gave me a visit card as it turned out that she and her husband have a 90-year-old car you can rent for weddings and photo sessions. Quoting the lady, they bought not a car but metal scrap. And it was the husband who fixed everything and made the car rideable again.
Все, щасливо, я на роботу добіжу.
Гарного дня.
Never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets start in your heart so slow. But if you don't wanna tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Here we go, turning all the wrongs into rights. Here we go, you could take me there tonight.
Now I'm standing in front of the old castle, the main fortification of the city. In Ukrainian we call it Старий замок or Kamianets-Podilskyi фортеця. And right there is the new castle. Let me show you its plan and tell a bit about its history.
The new castle was built at the beginning of the 17th century. As you can see, it is not really a castle but a hornwork, a type of a freestanding fortification. The thing is, the old castle was, well, old and designed for close combat. But as cannons and firearms became broadly used on the battlefield, Kamianets happened to be in a dire need of a modern fortification, designed and built according to the new requirements. So the new castle appeared. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the new castle was the main artillery position of the city. Apart from that, inside the walls of the bastion there was enough space for numerous military garrisons. Today, the system of dungeons and stone walls doesn't really look welcoming, but if you are as curious as I am, you can explore it. What I totally recommend is climbing the hills there. It is one more great viewpoint. Now the main tourist magnet of the city is an old castle. The first written record mentioning the castle dates back to the late 14th century, but earlier, during the time of Rus, there had been an earthen fort. The castle is surrounded by high walls and has 12 brick towers. One of them was blown up during the siege led by Ottoman and Tatar forces in the late 17th century. Later it was renovated. Started from the 18th century, the fortress lost its military importance and was mostly used as a prison. Oh, by the way, there is a 3D map of the castle you can explore. I'll leave the link to it on my Ko-fi page, but it is better to come here and see the original. Those of you who love history will find lots of entertaining stuff here, such as artillery exhibition. You can see weapons from different time periods and read about military engineering development. Another exhibition contains numerous archaeological finds, as well as the model of an early version of the fortress. There's also a prison and a well. Wells were a must-have to survive long sieges. If you are not a fan of history lectures, you can just explore every walkable or climbable corner of towers and walls while feeling like a Game of Thrones character. You won't find dragons, but I promise medieval atmosphere and great views. The fortress lives its life almost like thousands of years ago. I mean, look, you can find food in cauldrons, bread is being baked in a traditional oven. Sure, people in the queue pay by cards, but who cares? Apart from eating, you can also practice archery or craft a mug.
Thank you for watching this video. On this channel, I'm going to show you more little known but unique and must visit places in Ukraine. So consider subscribing if you want to see it all. Also, please give a thumbs up to this video, click all the YouTube buttons because it's my new project, brand new video, and your support is very important. Stand with Ukraine and see you in the next videos.